What's good, Washington fans? Like I said, I'm a little under the weather right now, so my voice is a little different. But I just wanted to get some content out to you guys. I always do this every year. I didn't do it last year. Who should stay? Who should go free agency 2022? Who are the guys that are unrestricted free agents for the Washington football team? We have a lot of guys that that people are torn on whether to keep or whether to let go. Really not very controversial. You know, guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's an unrestricted free agent. We definitely let him go. He can go, man. 37 years old, the beard. I mean, you know, and this offseason, I really did. I bought into the hype a little bit. I should have listened to my gut reaction. I won't spend too much time on Ryan Fitzpatrick, but we'll get to other guys like Brandon Scherff and Bobby McCain and Mckissic and guys like that, of course, who I think should come back and you know, guys who I think should go. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, you know, my gut reaction, I was not happy when we initially signed him. And then, you know, the advanced stats, you know, the passing yards, the air yards, the QBR, and top 5 in QBR had a better passer rating than Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson and all that stuff. You know, Mike Golick, Mike Greenberg, whoever, hyping us up in the beginning of the year. So I got caught into the hype of Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I just wasn't a believer. And then watching the preseason games, I was like, man, Taylor Heinicke should start over Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then the first play or first half, Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt. So that just tells you we cannot get these old journeyman quarterbacks anymore. I think it's time to move on from Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, we heard the story that he was on a water slide and hurt his hip initially, and then it just really hurt him again. The hip subluxation just tells you how old he is, 37, 38 years old. Never even made it to the playoffs in his career. Never did he even he had one winning record as a Jets starting quarterback. Never did he I don't even think he ever started 16 games in a season in his career. So he's just a journeyman backup. You know, he's you know, Fitztragic. He's the guy that can come in relief when the game looks out of hand and the starting quarterback goes down. He can come in and just come out of nowhere and win games. That's what he did with Miami. That's what he did with the Jets. He's done that in Tampa Bay. He did that coming in a pinch. But to be your day one starter, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's just not that guy. So I think it's time for him. It's time to move on from Ryan Fitzpatrick. The short-lived career with him, 1 year, $10 million, basically got money from the Washington football team and left. You know, the joke that he was on life alert because he's so old, but I would not bring back Ryan Fitzpatrick at all. I would not bring him back. We go to Brandon Scherff. And Brandon Scherff is all Pro Bowl guy. He had a great career in Washington. He really has. And you look at the numbers, and we won a lot of games when he started. You know, there's stats that whenever he starts, we usually win games. All Pro Bowl was the first All Pro since a punter back in 1996. But he's just not worth the money. We had to pay this man $18 million because we franchise tagged him. And if we franchise tag him again, I want to say we have to pay 120% of his salary, which is just insane for a guard. You know, as Jay Gruden says, a guard. We just cannot pay that money again for Brandon Scherff. You know, Wes Schweitzer can fill in, Eric Flowers can fill in. I think we have to draft another guard, not in the first or second or third round, but maybe in the fourth round, and then sign another guard for some depth. And we got Eric Flowers for a reasonably cheap deal. You know, I got to look at that trade again, but I want to say we traded like a 5th or 6th round pick just to get Eric Flowers back, the Miami Dolphins, and he played really, really well this year. So you don't have to really pay a guard a lot of money to fill and play well. Wes Schweitzer, we got him on a cheap veteran deal, and he filled in and played really well. So we just got to get guys to stay healthy. Sadiq Charles is playing well at the guard spot too. So I really like what Brandon Scherff did as a Washington football team player. You know, we didn't make the playoffs much, but he was a team captain. And he was a good locker room guy. He was a good guy on and off the field, was a good leader for the team, and he contributed to a lot of wins. You know, seeing him get pushed back against the Giants was not good at all, but he was a really good run blocker and a really good pass protector as well. You know, we drafted him top 10. He used to be a tackle, then converted to guard. So Brandon Scherff, I think he's a good pick. We definitely hit on him. Being an All-Pro is no joke. It's no joke at all. Being a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, congrats to him, but it's time to move on. And you know, he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid, but not here. It's not worth paying $18 million. Even though we do have $61 million in cap space, I know some of it's going to go to Charles Leno. Excuse me. So it will go down just a little bit. Next on the list is Jon Bostic. Personally, I would not like to see him back, but I just have a feeling Ron Rivera is going to bring him back. I got a feeling Ron Rivera is definitely going to bring him. He loves him some Jon Bostic. Jon Bostic, we've seen him got beaten coverage. The Atlanta Falcons, in the last game he played, he missed a couple tackles, got juked and fell. And then I can't remember the running back's name for the Falcons. He ran it for a touchdown. So he's just not good in coverage. He's a liability in coverage, not very good at tackling. There's just not much he's really good at, but he's really good at, controlling the defense, being a leader, calling out signals, being the middle linebacker, being the mic, getting guys in the right spots in the right places. He is a right guy. He's a good guy to help the linebackers learn, like a Jamin Davis and a Cole Holcomb. But other than that, you just see he's not as fast as he used to be. He's just not that guy. He's not that guy. So if we do bring him back on a veteran minimum, cheap 1-year deal, I wouldn't be upset because we need linebacker depth badly. But listen to what John Keim said today. He tweeted, Washington is looking to add a veteran middle linebacker. We need it badly because we know Jamin Davis is not a middle linebacker, and we know that Cole Holcomb's not a middle linebacker either. So those guys will be playing their outside linebacker positions. We got to find a middle linebacker. I would sign one in free agency, and I would draft one because we need depth at that linebacker position. It got really bad. When we had to put Milo Eifler out there on the Sunday Night Football thing, and he didn't even say anything. I think it was Milo Eifler, and we had some other linebackers. Khaleke Hudson, I think he's getting better. Derek Force is playing safety. He can play that nickel, Buffalo nickel role too. So, but we need some linebacker depth really, really bad. Next on the list is Cornelius Lucas. I like him as a backup, but he was getting beat like a drum against Dallas. He was getting beat like a drum against the Eagles towards the end of the year. But he's a swing tackle. He's a backup tackle. He's not bad as a backup swing tackle. Don't really want him to start 16 games or really 8 games, but he's really good as a backup. And then the year before that, last year, he did a solid job when we went on our run to make a playoff push. So I wouldn't mind bringing him back. Right now, we're paying him $1,900,000. I don't really think he's going to get much more than that on the market. So I wouldn't mind bringing him back, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Next on the list is Cam Sims. Cam Sims, I definitely want to bring him back. I want to bring him back. Right now, he is an unrestricted free agent. We're paying him $2,133,000. There probably will be some teams looking at him. He's not going to get paid much, but there probably are going to be some teams looking at Cam Sims. He's a tall, big body wide receiver. You saw him moss Trayvon Diggs. He made some plays. And Taylor Heineke, I don't think Scott Turner and Taylor Heineke gave him a lot of targets or gave him a lot of opportunities or enough snaps. When he you saw the athleticism there. Now he has had some big time drops throughout his career, but he had the big catch against the Steelers with Alex Smith when we beat them on Monday Evening Football to upset them. He had a nice catch against the Giants 2 years ago. Last year, he had a good game against the Giants. The first time we played him, he had 3 catches for 89 yards. So I like Cam Sims, man. Alabama undrafted. I think we should bring him back on another team-friendly deal. Now, you look at how bad this wide receiving core is. Cam Sims had 211 receiving yards this year. Terry McLaurin had 1,053 receiving yards. Guess who the next receiving leader yards? Guess who the next receiving yards leader was after Terry McLaurin on this list? And this is the next free agent I'm going to talk about. After Terry McLaurin at 1,053 yards on the season, was J.D. McKissic at 397 yards. He was our next leading receiver. That's terrible. That's awful. That shows you how bad this receiving core was. It's terrible. I really want to draft. I want to draft a wide receiver in the first. Last year, I wanted Rashad Bateman. He had a solid year with Tyler Huntley and Lamar Jackson as his quarterback. He had a good year. I thought he had a solid year for rookie. He did way more than what De'Ami Brown did, which is not saying much at all. I like De'Ami Brown. I still do. But like I said, if we would have drafted Rashad Bateman, I feel like he would have did better. I can't even say he would have did better here because Taylor Heineke's just not. He doesn't give a lot of guys a lot of opportunities down the field either. So, but whatever. My point is, we need to draft a wide receiver in the first, second, or third rounds. Really, preferably in the first or second round, in my opinion, because we need some more firepower on this offense. But to get back to the free agents and stay focused and on topic, J.D. McKissic, man, we got to bring this guy back, man. Not only was he good in the receiving game, when he got hurt, that's when the offense went downhill. Once him and Logan Thomas got injured, our 4-game win streak basically turned into a 4-game losing streak. The wheels went off, and he was a good security safety blanket for Taylor Heineke because Taylor Heineke, he's good at hitting the checkdowns and hitting guys underneath. But once, Dallas, they really cut off the deep passes, and we really missed J.D. McKissic because if it was a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, you could give it to J.D. McKissic right at the check down, and he'd be able to make somebody miss. And not if he doesn't even get the first down, at least it will be 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and manageable, where if it's a tight game and you got the momentum on your side, it's like, hey, let's go for it. And he was getting those tough yards as a runner too. When Antonio Gibson was fumbling the football and when he was injured, J.D. McKissic would come in and fill in. So J.D. McKissic did a great job for me. I would love to bring him back. I think it would be foolish for the Washington football team not to bring him back. He said he wants to be here. And also they said, this is reported that the Washington football team wants J.D. McKissic back as well. You look at the rushing numbers as well. Antonio Gibson had 1,037 yards, and J.D. McKissic had 212 rushing yards, which is not a lot. But still, I mean, that's pretty good for a guy who is like a Swiss Army knife who only played in 11 games. And that shows you how bad the receiving core was. He only played in 11 games, and he was our second leading wide receiver in yardage. So we got to bring J.D. McKissic back. Quickly, Darryl Roberts, I don't really care. He can go, but I guess you need depth. Bobby McCain is a polarizing name. Had 2 picks against the Giants. He led the team in 4 interceptions. I feel like he could have got at least 7 interceptions. He dropped the interception against the Broncos, and then he was talking stuff to the media, saying right about that or whatever he said. You guys can talk stuff now and watch this later. And the defense, it did get better. I think the second half of the year he started playing better with him and Landon Collins. We moved Landon Collins to the Buffalo nickel position or hybrid linebacker role, and he communicated better with Landon Collins. He communicated better with William Jackson. He communicated better with Kendall Fuller. That first half of the year was just terrible. It was hard to watch. Cordarrelle Patterson ran right past him. Darius Slayton ran right past him. Deontay Harris ran right past Landon Collins and Bobby McCain. It was just a lot of looking around, pointing fingers at the beginning of the year, and it was awful. It was bad. But the second half of the year, the defense got better, the communication was better, and Bobby McCain improved as the rest of the secondary improved through that 4-game winning stretch. But he's just got to hang on to the football. I think he's another guy. We signed him for 1 year, $1,475,000 this year. I don't think he's going to get much on the market either because he didn't really put a lot of great film on tape, but there will be another team that will probably try to give him at least $5 million. So I would bring Bobby McCain back because personally, I don't want to spend big on the free agency market for free safeties. Guys like Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May, Marcus Williams, guys like that. I just don't want to spend I want to spend my money on the offense this year. I'm tired of this offense being behind everybody else. We're just behind the 8 ball, in my opinion, offensively, talent and weapon wise. And I think our defensive front, I know our defensive front has not met expectations yet, but I think the money should be spent on linebacker and wide receiver and the offensive line. Free safety, I think you can get away with Bobby McCain. He's not trash. If he catches his interceptions and communicates well with William Jackson, who did get better in the second half of the year, Kendall Fuller, the whole secondary just got better in the second half of the year. I think Bobby McCain is good enough, and you can draft a free safety in the 4th round as well, or in the 5th round, and I think we should be fine. So I would bring Bobby McCain back on a relatively team-friendly deal. I wouldn't go anything higher than really $3 million at the most. I know we paid Sean Davis like $2.5 million, and he got released last year before training camp or before preseason even started or whatever, before the season started. So I would do something like that. Next one is Adam Humphries. I mean, he was clutch. 3rd downs, he was really good in the clutch. He helped us in the Raiders game-winning drive. He helped us out in the Atlanta Falcons game-winning drive. You look at his numbers, he was our 3rd leading wide receiver, once again, which is just a disgusting list to look at stat-wise. 383 yards receiving. I think we should bring him back. Now, the question is, will he make the roster? I think you can sign. Of course, we've signed guys many times, and they made it through training camp, and they got cut right before the final 53. I would sign him, and then if we do upgrade at the wide receiver position, like let's say we draft somebody in the 1st or 2nd round at the wide receiver position. Let's say maybe we get like a Christian Kirk, we sign him, or sign like a Mike Williams, or sign like a Michael Gallup or somebody like that, to help out this wide receiver core. And we just bring Adam Humphries in as a camp body, and if injuries do happen, you still have Adam Humphries on the roster. So I would bring him back as that kind of guy, to be honest with you, because I like what I saw. He was good. He just didn't get a lot of opportunities. So I like Adam Humphries. I have nothing really bad to say. He did drop the catch against the Philadelphia Eagles from Garrett Gilbert, so I'm not really pressed to bring him back and sign him, but I think he's a guy. He's a good locker room guy, and he is a chain mover. He is good on 3rd downs. Tyler Larson, the center, you can bring him back for cheap. Danny Johnson, the cornerback, you can bring him back for cheap. I don't really care if you bring him back or not. That's just depth, another camp body as well, in my opinion. I like Danny Johnson. He's been here for a little while, though. Ricky Seals-Jones, the tight end, I like him. I do like him. He had the great catch against the Giants. He had some really good catches. Now, he did get injured a couple times. He was concussed when he ran into the cameraman, so he's okay as your 3rd or 4th tight end. I'm not expecting him to come in and put up big numbers, but when Logan Thomas got injured and John Bates got injured, Ricky Seals-Jones was there to help out a little bit. He was a good wide receiver, a good catching tight end. So once again, if we don't bring him back, I wouldn't be mad at that as well. Maybe we draft another tight end. I know a lot of people really want David Njoku. I'm not really high on getting David Njoku in free agency because he's had a lot of injuries, in my opinion. Not in my opinion, he has had a lot of injuries, so I'm not really pressed to bring him in. But Ricky Seals-Jones, I wouldn't mind bringing him back. John Bates, Ricky Seals-Jones, and Logan Thomas, you can win games with that tight end core because John Bates really played well, and Ricky Seals-Jones would be your number 3 tight end, and then Sammy Reyes would be on the practice squad. David Mayo, wouldn't really bring him back, to be honest with you. He could be a practice squad, camp body guy. Jared Norris, same thing. Camp body to retire. He played pretty well at times. He did get cooked. He was, in the Falcons game, he was getting cooked. He got a couple pass interferences. He wasn't even looking at the football. Then he got injured on that Hail Mary against the Atlanta Falcons. So he's a camp body, in my opinion. If he does make the roster, which he did really well in preseason, then more power to him. DeAndre Carter, I would bring him back. I would bring him back. I thought he did well. He stepped up while Curtis Samuel was not playing. And he did a lot of things that I thought Curtis Samuel would be able to do. A lot of end arounds, reverses. It was a solid kick returner. I think he did make the Pro Bowl as a returner. I got to look that up and make sure. But I would bring DeAndre Carter back. I would. I thought he was a good returner. And he stepped up well in that wide receiver, 3 or 4 role, to be honest with you. I thought he was a good kick returner. Sometimes on the punt returners, he did fumble and muff, but he did pick it back up. He wasn't like Steve Sims, losing the football and whatnot. He would make up for his mistakes. So I love DeAndre Carter. He did have a kick return touchdown, and he had a couple receiving touchdowns as well. DeAndre Carter had 296 yards receiving. He was our 4th leading wide receiver and did have 3 touchdowns. He had a nice touchdown against the Panthers. And he had a couple touchdowns in some other games as well. So I like what I saw from DeAndre Carter. And he had a couple clutch fourth down catches. He had the 4th down catch. Against the Atlanta Falcons. I remember that. So he had a couple clutch catches, and he had a clutch catch against the Panthers as well. Corn Elder, camp body. That's a former Panther right there. We don't really need to bring him back, to be honest with you. Jamil Douglas, a guard, camp body, practice squad. Kyle Allen. Should we bring him back or not? Honestly, we did trade a 5th round pick for Kyle Allen. He could be a camp body, in my opinion. Because right now, the contract he's on a 1 year. He's a restricted free agent, but he's a restricted free agent, $850,000 this year. Taylor Heineke is under contract this year, so he's not a free agent for next year. He is under contract. But Kyle Allen, we can bring him back. I wouldn't mind bringing him back. He could be a camp body too. I would bring him back as like a camp body competition quarterback. Now, they love Taylor Heineke, and it is weird that they didn't give Kyle Allen a chance towards the end of the year when Ron Rivera's had that weird statement like, oh, we're going to see Kyle Allen. Taylor Heineke's going to start, but we're definitely going to see Kyle Allen. So Ron Rivera, sometimes he can be, his statements are just off. They're just really off and really wishy-washy. That's one thing about Ron. He's a flip-floppy kind of guy with the media. He doesn't really shoot straight sometimes. But Kyle Allen, he had some good moments the year before when he replaced Dwayne Haskins. He beat the Cowboys. I think, honestly, he has a better arm than Taylor Heineke. So, honestly, I do want to see him in preseason a little bit, see what he can do battling Taylor Heineke if both those guys are still here. Depending on the quarterback situation, I really hope we can get a big name. Just having the pipe dream right now, of course, of the big name quarterbacks, that probably won't come here. But if we don't get one of those guys and we draft a quarterback and we bring in I hate to say it, but like a Trubisky or a Mariota or a Tyrod Taylor or Jameis Winston, one of those guys, then I probably would keep Kyle Allen just as competition. But if we bring in a big name quarterback, like say Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson, somebody else, like the pipe dream quarterbacks, I would immediately cut. I would not bring Kyle Allen back at all. Joey Sly has to come back. Don't need to say much about that. He was better than Dustin Hopkins. He only missed 1 kick, and that was extra point. He made a 55-yarder against the Eagles. He was huge on our 4-game winning streak. He was good for us. I love what I saw from Joey Sly. Sly guy. I hate that he got injured in that Seahawks game, but he played really well. Troy Apke, he can go. That was terrible with the punt where it went to the back. Tressway did a beautiful punt against the Giants yesterday, and then it went to the corner. And Troy Apke, get out of here, Trapke. The fact that we released him, that we kept him and cut a guy like Jimmy Moreland when we had no corner depth towards the end of the year, and the Cowboys cooked us 56-14 because we barely had any cornerbacks to put out there. When Jimmy Moreland, who knows, he might have been healthy because Jimmy Moreland is usually healthy for 16 games, could have helped us towards the end of the year, was just a bad move by Ron Rivera. And I get that Troy Apke's a gunner and a special teams guy, but honestly, mistakes like that was awful. If that was a meaningful game and a playoff game, I would have cut Troy Apke on spot. Najee Torin, a backup tackle, camp body, exclusive rights free agent, restricted free agent. Jordan Kushnewski, restricted free agent linebacker. Oh, that's the guy with the onside kick who didn't touch the onside kick against the Seahawks and almost botched the game for us. Tim Settle. I don't think he's coming back. I would bring him back, But at the same time, I think he's going to leave because he wants to get paid more and he wants to start on somebody else's roster, which I definitely think he can start for somebody else. So that's the thing with Tim Settle. Tim Settle had a good year this year too. I mean, he just didn't get a lot of snaps. That's the thing. We just have a lot of guys at the defensive tackle position. Deron Payne, John Allen, Matt Ioannidis. He just didn't get a lot of snaps and a lot of opportunities. But last year was huge. Doing the penguin dance, he had 5 sacks last year, and he was good. Whenever he gets to playing time, he did good against the Giants yesterday. Whenever he gets to playing time, he's an impactful player. He really is. So I would like to see him back, but I just don't see him coming back. Jalen Jelks, outside linebacker, exclusive rights free agent, cam body. Landon Collins, last but not least, Landon Collins. Now, I was looking at over the cap, and I was looking at the numbers, crunching up some numbers. Now, if we cut him before June 1st, where we have per over the cap, we have $60,921,305 in cap space. Now, if we release him, we would have $67 million. And we basically have $68 million in cap space. So we would get $8 million, $7 million more in cap space if we do release Landon Collins. This is before June 1st. Now, if we cut him after June 1st, we would free up about $12 million in cap space. So, but is it really worth it to get $6 or $7 million in cap space? Now, we do trade, like I said, for a big name quarterback. We have to pay them money, of course, and sure. But honestly, I like the way the Landon Collins played towards the end of the year. A couple of interceptions, some forced fumbles against the Seahawks. That was huge. When he forced to punch the ball from behind, he got the interception against the Eagles, and he had to pick up fumble against the Eagles as well. He had a really good game against the Broncos. He played really well against the Seahawks. He played really well against the Raiders during that 4-game winning streak when he was changed to linebacker. I know he hates playing linebacker. He always says, I'm not a box safety. Every time on Instagram or Twitter, he blocks people when they say he should be playing safety. He just got real prickly in the interviews also when they called him a linebacker. And he said, I'm not a linebacker, I'm a safety. So would I bring him back? I wouldn't be mad at bringing him back. I really wouldn't be mad at all. I really wouldn't be mad because he played well, and we don't have a lot of blue chippers other than our defensive line. Our secondary and our linebackers need help, and he at times was our best linebacker. Not saying much, but at times during that 4-game winning streak, he was our best linebacker. He was hitting guys. He looked like he was having fun again. The last 2 years just didn't look like he was having fun out there. He was too worried about the New York Giants, and this year he looked like he was having some fun out there during that 4-game winning streak where he started playing linebacker. So honestly, I think I would keep Landon Collins. I really do. I think I would keep Landon Collins. I really do. But if they do cut him, I wouldn't be mad at that. And you got to think, Ron Rivera did not sign him. You know, Ron Rivera usually cuts guys that he did not bring in. Morgan Moses, Quentin Dunbar, other guys like that I can just name a few. He usually doesn't really keep guys that are not guys that he brought in. Now, if he would have signed Landon Collins or drafted him, they're like, okay, he's going to keep Landon Collins. But since he didn't bring Landon Collins in, I don't really see him keeping him. And you could go against my argument too because, you know, of course he extended Jonathan Allen. He likes Montez Sweat and other guys like that. But at the same time, you can just get that kind of vibe with Ron when he doesn't draft or sign you, and you're getting paid a lot of money. Usually, from what I've seen the last 2 years, he usually cuts you and lets you go. So that's been it with Landon Collins. Taylor Heineke, should he stay or should he go? We should keep Taylor Heineke. I don't think we should release him at all. I think he's a good backup. That's what he is. He's a good backup, and he proved that. And unfortunately, there might be a scenario where he does start next year. There really might be a scenario where he does. If we strike out on all the big-name quarterbacks and we end up drafting a quarterback, he might be the day one starter, which would be really bad in my opinion. But you look at the money he's making. He's not making a lot of money in 2022, $1,500,000. That's why we have a lot of cap spaces. We're not paying a quarterback. That's the big reason why we have so much cap space. But that's all I got. And there's some news from Ben Standing. We announced that we signed the following players to reserve future contracts. Calvin Harmon to a future contract. Antonio Gandy-Golden, Markin Michelle, wide receiver, and some other guards, Boo, Spence Weissel, stuff like that. But you guys, let me know who you guys want to bring back, who should stay, who should go. Like I said, Ryan Fitzpatrick needs to go. He needs to go. No more old journeyman quarterbacks. Brandon Scherff, unfortunately, time to move on. Bobby McCain, I would resign. Jaden McKissic, definitely bring him back. So, all right, you guys, thank you for rocking with me this season. I'm going to probably rest up for the next couple of days to get my voice back, and then I'm going to try to get you guys some content in the next few days. Hail to the football team. Peace.